Once a noble knight, Sir Roland had spent his entire life serving King Richard with unwavering loyalty. For decades, he had fought battles, led armies, and protected the kingdom from all manner of threats. He had always believed in the king's justice and wisdom, and had never questioned his authority. But as the years passed, Sir Roland began to see a different side of the king. The monarch grew increasingly ruthless, ignoring the needs of the people and caring only for his own power and wealth. Sir Roland watched in horror as the king ordered the execution of innocent peasants, seized land and property for himself, and punished anyone who dared to question his rule. Despite his growing unease, Sir Roland continued to serve the king, hoping that he could somehow make a difference from within the system. But when the king ordered the massacre of an entire village for no apparent reason, Sir Roland knew he could no longer stay silent. He sought out other knights and soldiers who shared his concerns, and together they began plotting a revolution. It was a risky move. The king had powerful allies and armies of his own, but Sir Roland and his comrades were driven by a deep sense of justice and a desire to protect the people they had sworn to serve. Their plan was daring and bold. They would gather together in secret, quietly spreading the word among those who had suffered under the king's tyranny. They would wait until the moment was right, until the king was at his weakest, and then strike with all their might. For months, they worked tirelessly, gathering resources and allies, and carefully planning their every move. Eventually Sir Roland had amassed a small army. The king's soldiers would still be a challenge, but they may yet stand a chance. And then, finally, the day arrived. The king had gone too far, ordering the execution of a popular community leader and triggering riots throughout the kingdom. In the chaos, Sir Roland and his followers made their move. They marched on the palace, fighting fiercely against the king's guards and soldiers. It was a brutal battle, but in the end, Sir Roland emerged victorious. King Richard stood in his throne room, in full royal garb, surrounded by the bodies of his guards and seeing Sir Roland's men circling him. The king drew his sword and laughed mockingly at Sir Roland, then plunging the blade into his own chest. As the king fell to the floor, all the men cheered except for one. Sir Roland kept his composure, and watched the life fade away from his king. For a moment, Sir Roland felt a deep sense of satisfaction. He had done what he believed was right, and had protected the people he had sworn to serve. But as he looked around at the destruction and chaos that surrounded him, he knew that the real work was just beginning. Sir Roland announced the death of the king to the people. With the king having no heirs, the leadership of the kingdom fell on the shoulders of his council. Every advisor and member of the court, except for Sir Roland, chose to make the Kingslayer who stopped a tyrant, the new king of all the land. Now, as the new leader of the kingdom, Sir Roland had to rebuild, heal the wounds, and restore justice to a land torn apart by war and tyranny. But he was ready for the challenge, knowing that he had the strength, courage, and determination to make a better world for all those who lived within its borders.